Hello, my name is Jennifer, and I'm a public health scientist who's working on solutions to the problem of food waste. I want to tell you about food waste so that you can help join the many people in your state, in the country, and around the world who are trying to help solve this problem. Now, first, I want you to try to guess how much of the food that is grown, harvested, processed, and purchased in the United States ends up as waste. Just take a guess. Either write down or think of the number as a percentage or a fraction of all the food in the United States. How much do you think it is? Well, it may shock you to learn that each year, between 30 and 40% of all the food that we produce in the United States does not get eaten. It's wasted, thrown out, or left to rot. Let's put that number in perspective and see what 40% looks like. Picture a large pizza pie. Pizzas usually come cut up into 8 slices. So let's say that you order a pizza for dinner one night, open up the box, take out 3 slices, and toss them in the trash. Well, those 3 slices represent the amount of food that we throw away in this country each year. Now, imagine if you ordered pizza once per week for a whole year and did the same thing. Open the box, threw away 3 slices of each pizza that you ordered. At the end of the year, you will have thrown away 156 slices of pizza. So it really adds up over time. And with all the food that we produce in this country, 30 to 40% ends up being 108 billion pounds of food. That's enough to fill the Empire State Building 1,000 times. Since you have already learned about the food system, you know about the many resources and people that contribute to producing, harvesting, processing, packaging, and cooking the food we eat every day. So when we waste food, we're also wasting all of the resources used along the supply chain. The time, money, soil, water, and energy that were used to make that food. Unfortunately, food is wasted throughout the food system. Where do you think most food waste happens along the food system? At the production and harvesting stages? On the farm, orchard, or ranch? At the processing stage? Or at the consumption stage? At the restaurant or in your own kitchen? In fact, most food waste happens in 2 places along the food system. The first one is on the farm, where many fruits and veggies are left behind. They don't even get harvested because they don't look perfect. They maybe are misshapen, or have a bump, or a bruise, or a spot of odd coloring, so the farmer leaves it there to rot in the field even though it is still perfectly tasty and nutritious to eat. Why do you think the farmer would do that? The second major place where food waste occurs is where we eat it, in our homes and at restaurants. What are the reasons that food might get wasted in your fridge or when you go out to eat? Can you think of some reasons? And have you ever wondered what happens to the food that we don't eat? Most of the food we throw away ends up in a mountain of garbage called a landfill. As food decays in a landfill, where there isn't much air circulation for it to properly break down, it releases a heat-trapping greenhouse gas called methane. Do you remember what an increase in the amount of greenhouse gases like methane and carbon dioxide is doing to the Earth's climate system? That's right. Increasing the temperature of the planet is causing major disruptions to the planet's climate system, throwing nature out of whack, causing dangerous weather for humans and wildlife. Another important thing to know about food waste is that it isn't very fair. Did you know that there are millions of people in this country who do not have access to good food to eat? It might sound hard to believe, since we produce so much food here, but it's true. Now, can you imagine if we took all the food that is wasted and used it to feed hungry people instead? Do you think it would be more helpful to get some of our extra food to people who want to eat it instead of putting it into a landfill? Now that you know where and why food waste happens along the food system or food supply chain, here are some quick suggestions of what we can do to reduce food waste. Number 1, take only as much as you want. When you're serving yourself a meal, whenever possible, take only a little bit at a time. Remember, you can usually take more if you're still hungry after you eat it. Number 2, save it for later. Instead of throwing away the food that is on your plate, you could save the leftovers to eat later. You can also be creative and think of different ways to use the food that you didn't eat. For example, do you have some bananas that are a little riper than you like? Or maybe some apples with some bruising? Get creative. Consider making a smoothie or a fruit salad with the parts of the fruit that are still good. Number 3, share it with someone else. Maybe you have more food than you can eat at lunchtime. If you do, offer some to a friend instead of throwing it out or putting it into your backpack where it may end up going bad before you eat it. Some schools also have share tables where they collect food that students don't plan to eat, but that is still good to give to someone else to eat. Ask your teacher or principal if there's a share table in your school. If there is, find out what types of food may be donated to the share table and donate if you can. If there isn't, maybe you could start one. Speak to your teachers and principals about the problem of food waste and see if they can help you start a share table in your school. Number 4, compost it. Some foods can be used to create something called compost. When you add food to a compost pile, it breaks down and becomes nutritious fertilizer for growing food. Try to think of one thing you can do this week to reduce the amount of food that you waste. Do you have any ideas for how we can fix the food waste problem? People in New Jersey, across the United States and the world have been coming up with some creative and effective ways to cut food waste and help fight hunger too. I bet you can think of some good ways to reduce food waste. Thanks for listening. Bye.